Tonight is Limitless, and we're going to cover those three laws that Mr. OT introduced 7, 8, and 9. The first law is the law of polarity. What is the law of polarity, you ask? This law says that everything in life has an opposite, like love and fear, warmth and cold, good and evil. Experts say that understanding there are two diagonally different parts of everything in the universe is key to bringing more clarity to your life. This law teaches that people have to experience both sides of the same coin to fully appreciate them. For example, people would have no idea what happiness was if there isn't sadness in the world. Similarly, they would be unable to experience success without having sensed failure. Working with the law of polarity involves accepting that a negative experience can help propel you in the opposite direction. If you're facing a difficult situation, such as a health issue or maybe a breakup, try imagining what the opposite would look like. It will give you a newfound sense of appreciation for things that you have and signal to the universe what you want and need to attract in your life. For every problem, there's a solution. For every obstacle, there's an opportunity. This is very powerful here because if you think about everything in the world has the opposite. Just like in trading, what do we have? We have red candles, we have green candles. One signifies that the price is moving down, the other signifies that the price is moving up. You can't have up without down, you can't have east without west. They work corresponding together inside the universe in every single facet that we have. Now let's carry this over to the mindset. If you don't have enough money, what is that? It's a mentality of lack. If you're saying to yourself, I don't have enough money, I need more money, what does that mean? What else exists out there? In the universe right now, the opposite exists, which is you having an abundance of money, which is you having all the money that you need to fulfill your dreams, to live a life that's fruitful the way you want to live it. It exists in the universe at the exact same time as the situation of you not having enough money. Or let's carry it back to trading. Maybe you're not a consistently profitable trader right now, but what exists in the universe? The version of you that is a consistently profitable trader. That's powerful, guys. When you realize that that exists right now, and that you can choose to live in that reality if you switch your mind over to it. We've talked about the frequencies and changing the dial and everything. Because this is really all part of one thing, just like we talked about in the divine oneness, the very first principle that we spoke about on Monday. If they're all interconnected and they're all part of the same thing, then the opposite of whatever negative reality or negative issues that you're facing right now, that positive exists. It's kind of like a mind blower. You may say, Joker, how is that? Look, I didn't create the universe, guys. I'm just here to share this with you. But what I can do is I can wrap my head around that. And I can say that in my version of reality, there is presently a version that looks exactly how I want it to look. And with a few tweaks, a few things involved, I can live that reality. It's possible. The universe has enough for everyone. It's huge. And another example of this is to think about a battery. Okay, every battery has what? A positive and a negative terminal. In order for that current to flow, let's just say to start your car, to run your remote control, you have to have a flow of energy from the negative to the positive or the positive to the negative. And who's in control of that? We are. We determine which way the flow goes. We determine which reality we're going to live once we recognize that. And this is, in a way, a very complex law. And at the same time, it's very simple. I structured these chats this way so that these two are interconnected, but I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next law, which is the law of gender. It's very similar to the polarity in that the law of gender states that life works best when your divine masculine and divine feminine energies are in alignment. The divine feminine represents the part of our consciousness that connects us to qualities like logic, authority, confidence, objectivity, and action taking. Did I skip that? Let me read that one more time. I think I skipped from one line to the next. The divine feminine represents the part of our consciousness that connects us to qualities like intuition, feeling, emotions, creativity, and spirituality. And this divine feminine is the exact opposite of the divine masculine, which connects us to qualities like logic, authority, confidence, objectivity, and action taking. One thing to note is that one is not better than the other. Both the divine feminine and the divine masculine need to work together harmoniously to create solutions for the highest good. We've talked about it in some other nice chats about the universe's goal is the best scenario, the best outcome, whatever's best for the greater good, whatever's best for the higher good. That's what the universe's target is at all times. What's our target? Is our target only for our own highest good? Is it for the world's highest good? In this scenario, I'm not going to dive too much into that, but that's something maybe that you can think about on your own. But this is just an extension of the law of polarity. Plenty of us have probably seen the yin and yang symbol, where you have on one side the masculine energy and on the other the positive energy. What about the sun and the moon? Every example in the universe has a masculine and a feminine. In nature, let's consider that a mountain is the ultimate form of masculine energy. A mountain can't be moved. A mountain can't be stressed. The mountain is barely affected when the wind blows. It doesn't sway from side to side. Ultimately masculine. Now, how about the forest and the valleys? That's the feminine energy. It changes with the emotion. It feels the intuition. It shows the wind breathe. Whereas the mountain creates the structure and the shape. The feminine comes in and gives it color, gives it the pretty leaves that change. It ornaments our life. Okay, and I don't mean this in a male and female sense. Even though this is entitled the law of gender, it's really about energy, not about our genders as human beings. Some people say that the idea of realizing that these two are called one or are one is called a spiritual awakening. It's when you realize that every person has that inside them. Every person can focus on one side or the other. You can choose which side to develop or which side to neglect. But when you're in perfect balance, you have the right. Let's read that back one time. You have intuition, feeling, emotions, creativity, and spirituality. And in perfect balance, you also have logic, authority, confidence, objectivity, and you're ready to take action. Somebody who's balanced in their masculine and feminine energy is a person who has all the necessary tools to move through life with the greatest of ease, much less struggle. Let's talk about this in the sense of even all the way down to hardware. And it seems simple. We're talking about such big things like the sun and the moon, mountains and forests. But even in a hardware store, let's just say you go in there to get a nut, and a nut is outward facing, right? And what's a bolt? It's inward facing. The nut accepts the things. The the nut projects out into the world, whereas the bolt accepts it inwardly. One's facing outward and one's facing inward. So you're looking at yourself and you're looking at the world at the same time. That's I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these laws because I want to spend a little bit more time at the end tying these together. But I think it's important that we understand these things for that same reason that I stated before, that if you lack something now in the reality that you're living in, the same version of that exists. And the gender, to me, is a stronger version of the law of polarity. Moving forward a little bit, let's talk about the law of compensation. This is our last law for tonight. But what does the law of compensation mean to us? The law of compensation is closely related to the law of cause and effect, which we're going to cover tomorrow night. It states that the universe will compensate you for your efforts eventually based on how you contributed to the universe through your life through various forms such as gifts, money, friendship, and other things. If the law of cause and effect makes sure your thoughts and actions return to you, the law of compensation ensures the quantity and quality of those things. So once again, we're going to talk about what are we putting out in the world? What are we putting out from our mind? I'm an anxious trader. I can't stay in my trade long enough. You just put that to the world. What's the world going to pay you back? What's the universe going to pay you back? A red P&L? Maybe more stress? And remember, like I always say, they're contagious, success and failure. What if you're putting out into this world? I'm confident. I stick to my plan. What's going to happen? The universe is going to pay you back. The universe is going to reward you. And it's the same. This law doesn't only work in trading, it works all these laws, in fact, work in every single area of our life. If you constantly put fear into the world, you constantly put hatred into the world, you're going to get that back. And if you constantly put love out there and you put out confidence and you put out all these high energy things and you live in your joy, you're going to get that back. But where else in our life is it quite as relevant and immediate as it is in the world of trading? You know, we covered this in other series. What do confident people do? They trade well. What do patient people do? They trade well. What do disciplined people do? They trade well. Why? Because they're able to wait on their setup. They're able to execute their plan at the time that their setup comes around. They're not in fear. They're not hesitant. They're not chasing after the fact because they're on edge of anxiety. They're there and they're ready to put their gift of learning how to trade and their trade plan into the market. And the market says what? More often than not, immediately ding, ding, ding. Sometimes it takes a little longer. Sometimes it takes a month for you to really see those results. Sometimes it takes a year for you to see those results. But sometimes the market can immediately slap you on the face. Sometimes the market can say, nope, you were anxious in that trade, compensated, pow, you lose XYZ amount of money. Sometimes the market can say, you were patient, you chose wisely, boom, you're rewarded instantly. What better place in our life to learn this law? What better place for us to recognize exactly how this law works? And we know that in every aspect of this universe, there's a polar opposite. Every time that we're confident, it means that there's also a version of us that's fearful. Every time that we're fearful, we know that there's a version of us that's competent and confident to make that trade properly or to wait until it's time to make that trade properly. Wow. Wow. Who gets to decide that? We do. And we get to decide it in every single other area of our life. To harness the power of this law, you have to do what you do with the rest of the 12 universal laws. You must what? What's the start? I've said it a couple times this week already. I'm going to say it again. Your thoughts become your words, become your actions, become your habits, becomes your character and who you are. So where does it start with? Watch your thoughts. And I bring this up again tonight because we're focused on masculine and feminine energies. What's your thought? A masculine or a feminine idea? Hopefully your energy is balanced when you're making these thoughts. But have you ever had a big idea and somebody said, well, how'd you conceive that? That's feminine energy. Thoughts, creativity, development in that way. It's inward. It starts inside. It starts inside your brain. Let's think about those words right there. Watch your thoughts. I may be a little crazy because, I'm probably one of the least jealous people there is, and I'm very self-focused, so I have less time sometimes to focus on other people. But I almost read that as watch your woman. Ladies, what if you took that in the opposite way and said watch your spouse, watch your love, watch your thoughts, okay? And we take that the next step further past the speech patterns, and you have thoughts becomes actions. Thoughts becomes words, becomes actions, become habit. What's actions? Actions, that masculine energy that you can carry outward into the world. It's that masculine energy of take charge and knock her down. Spy, not a female. But experts also propose asking yourself, where am I being called to serve and support others today? That's huge. That's huge because when you do take and turn that thought from inward to outward, and instead of watch your thoughts, watch your partner, watch your spouse, you leave the ego behind and you say, where am I being called to serve my partner? Where am I being called to serve my spouse? Where am I being called to serve my neighbor, my friend? And I specifically said this because to me it's important. Because we realize after tonight that both of these are inside of us. So in the outward world, it becomes where can I serve someone else? What about in your own body? Are you so focused on your masculine energy of, I have to take this trade to practice. I have to execute all the time. I have to be flawless. I have to mow them down. I'm a warrior. I'm a ninja. And all of that masculinity? Or do you take a step back and say, how can I serve the feminine energy of myself? How can I think through this next setup better? How can I wait and be ready to receive this next blessing? Instead of trying to hammer on the wall all the time, pow, 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 pow. Sometimes you have to take that step back. And that's why, in tying all these three things together, I think one of the best things that we can look at here is that every single thing in the universe receives what's commonly called now as karma. Karma. Every single thought, which becomes every single word, which becomes every single action, has a consequence or a reward. Every single one. And once again, we find out that it begins inside of our head, where we have the ability to determine, do we want to get rewarded or do we want to get punished? And I'm going to leave out some people want to get hurt on purpose and some people just want attention all the time, etc. I'm going to leave all that stuff out for tonight and say that you have the opportunity to choose, do you want to get punished or rewarded? And once again, a hill that I'll die on is, what's the most effective form of behavior change? Positive reinforcement. So when you start talking about the law of compensation, and that every single decision that you make has a chance for a punishment or a reward, why not reward yourself? Now let's take that a step further and say, but Joker, it's hard for me to be patient. It's hard for me to not have anxiety when I'm trading. It's hard for me to stick to my plan. It's hard for me to execute without hesitation. It's hard for me when I'm scared of losing money. It's hard for me when this is the way that I have to make income. It's hard. What's harder? Blowing up your account? Maybe everyone in here has blown up an account. I know some of us have. I have. Is that harder than waiting an extra 5 minutes until your setup comes? Because you're going to get what you deserve based on the law of compensation. Because you focused in your frequency, you've thought it through, you're ready to act. All of the other laws have came into conjunction, and now it's time for you to hit the mouse. Are we going to hit that mouse arbitrarily? Or are we going to take the short-term sacrifice of it being hard in order to get a long-term reward based on the law of compensation? I know me personally, I'd rather take the reward every single time. I look at it from a standpoint of, man, I could do this part standing on my head. Why? Because I know the light at the end of the tunnel is me living the life of my dreams. Do I necessarily want to sit there and watch consolidation for an hour? No. And I'm human, so sometimes I'm going to turn on the TikTok and wait till I see some movement. Sometimes I'm going to stand up and stretch and do jumping jacks, and maybe that causes me a little focus, but what I'm not doing is instantly hurting myself. If it means I have to shut it down for the rest of the day, I'd rather do that than blow up my account. Because one red trade is not as important as your success as a long-term trader. And if you continue to stay disciplined, you continue to follow your trade plan, you continue to execute properly, the law of compensation will pay you the amount that you deserve. And one thing, some experts disagree on this, that there's a one-to-one payment. But most of the real spiritual experts agree you always get more than you put in. Why? Because the universe gives the increase. You give a tree a seed, or you give the ground a seed, and you get a giant oak tree. You give a woman a seed, you get a baby. You give the market a seed of your discipline, of your execution to the trade plan, of your diligence to follow that trade plan, and what's going to happen? Your bank account is going to grow. Your confidence is going to grow. Your diligence is going to grow. Your discipline is going to grow because of the law of compensation is going to actually not only give you a 1-to-1, but to give you an increase. That's what I want. That's what I love. Give me the increase, universe. Thank you. I'll gladly. It's very easy for me to be grateful when you're consistently giving me the increase. Now, can I please also be grateful when I'm not necessarily getting the increase, when I'm getting the learning increase, when I'm getting the punishments that you're giving me, because I know you're fair. The universe is not going to punish you unjustly. Now, how can we take this a step further? How can we tie these three things together? In every situation there, just like we went over last night first, the law of relativity. In the law of relativity, we talked about those rose-colored glasses. We talked about having the optimistic outlook of the glass half full. Now, if we're saying that, and we're also saying that in everything has an equal and exact opposite, and it's all part of the same structure, and that we can experience it at the same time, do you ever really get a punishment or a reward? I'm not sure, guys, because it's all connected. Every single thing is part of the same thing. But what I do know is that we have goals as human, and we have the ability through the law of relativity to determine how it affects us. That means every single time we can choose good. Maybe there is a such thing as a good and evil. Maybe it's all part of the same world. But if we get to choose good, let's choose good every time. Why not? It's the same. Why would we have to choose miserable? Why would we have to choose failings? Why would we have to choose fear, anxiety, etc., especially in trading? When it directly pays us, we don't have to wait 30 years for the oak tree to grow. Instantly, we're patient. Instantly, we're disciplined. Instantly, we're following our trade plan. And what happens? Instantly, we get paid. Our brains are wired, guys, to survive. Okay? And our subconscious makes up about 98% of the decisions every single day. Your brain is better than any computer that was ever created to this point in the fashion of creating algorithms. We all know what algorithms are, right? So let's just say if we have brain software and we know that we have control over that brain software, let's program our minds to operate in that way. Our brain automatically wants to survive. It wants food. It wants love. It wants shelter. It needs those things to survive. And it's automatically going to optimize its algorithm to search for the reward. Right? I mean, this is proven science. This isn't Joker, country boy making this crap up. How many times have we all been driving and we spaced out? We still get where we're going. Our subconscious mind was driving that car while our conscious mind was thinking about how we did in the market today or what we have to get done before Christmas, et cetera, et cetera. And it's the same thing that we can relate this to trading and to the rest of our life. If we take those three laws, as well as the laws that we learned earlier, and we learn how to optimize our brain for, okay, X, Y, Z equals profit. Whatever X is, let's say our trade plan, Y is execution, Z is profit. Wouldn't we want to do that every single time? And we're saying here, not only are we able to do that, our brain is going to naturally encourage to do that, and we get to choose that. Wow. I mean, wow. We can program the outcome of our entire life to any output that we desire, any vision that we want to live, like those books you had as a kid that's choose your own end of the story, right? We can choose the end of our own story from what? The input equaling the output. Let's program our brain. And once again, what's the most effective form of behavior change? Positive reinforcement. Now, you tell me that every one of you in here who's growing didn't get positively reinforced. When you stuck to your trade plan, you waited for the RVSI to be green, you waited for the 3-minute RVSI to be green, you had the 920 cross up, and you bought a call on the first closed green candle, and you got instant profit. What happened in your brain? Bloop. Here's your treat. Okay, next what happened? The next time that setup came across, bloop, you executed, and what happened? The market spit out a treat. You're automatically going to positively reinforce your good behavior. That's the way it was designed. But the sad thing is it also works in reverse because of the law of polarity. If you decide that you're going to break that trade plan rule, you're going to willy-nilly FOMO in wherever you want, or you're going to start running and gunning wherever you want, what happens? The fear grows. The lack of confidence grows. The losses in the P&L column grow money-wise. And what does that reinforce for you? Now you're focused on bad behavior and it becomes contagious. That's why these 3 laws are so important to me, guys, is that we have the chance to program our own brains to be successful in the stock market. And yes, it will take some effort early on. It doesn't happen by magic. But it's a law that says you will get what you deserve to come to you. So the harder you work, the more that you stay disciplined, the more that you learn, the more that you properly execute, the more you're going to get paid in real dollars. And that's how it works in every other aspect of your life. So to tie it all together, I just want to say, you already have it. You already have it in you, what it takes. Now it's a choice of what? Focus. You focus on that positive. You focus on that good. You focus on building your discipline. You focus on growing your account. You've already got all the necessary skills. And all it takes is intentional execution of those things. Something so simple as clicking the mouse at the right time. Buy. Clicking the mouse at the right time. Sell. It doesn't really get much simpler than that, but it's super complex from point A to point B inside your brain. Cut out the middleman. Program yourself to do it. There's a quote. You know what, guys? I'm just gonna use that quote as part of my call to action. How do I go back in a spreadsheet here? I think some of you guys already saw it, but this is my quote. And in every sacred spiritual text, it has this quote. I like to end on a call to action, and I feel like I wasn't as in the zone tonight with y'all as I could have been. To be completely honest, I have somebody who last minute scheduled to come and look at my house, and I didn't want to miss that opportunity to start our new life as a family. So I'm probably not as dialed in as I should be. I'm missing buttons and stuff, and I apologize to you guys for that. I truly try to give my effort in here every single day to y'all. But hopefully you guys can love me the way you'd want to be loved. And that's our call to action tonight. You know, I love you guys in here. I want to see you guys program your brain. I want to see you guys win. I'm willing to get on calls with every single one of y'all. I'm willing to help every single one of y'all. OT and I have set up processes to encourage structure and process over just willy-nilly running and gunning. Now, the one thing I want you guys to remember in this call to action, I did it specifically this way. as kind of a trick. If we know that we've got good and bad inside of us at the same time, we know that we got masculine and feminine inside of us. We know that masculine projects outward into the world, and we know that feminine projects inside of our own self, right? So if we're going to take care of our masculine and our feminine energy, we're going to love ourselves. We're going to focus on optimizing our brain for peak performance to the point that it does it on autopilot. I guarantee you, OT can take a double top or a double bottom on autopilot with his eyes closed. That's what he cut his teeth on. He's been doing it so long that it's not even boom, boom, boom. If it gets here, by. If it gets here, so. Optimize your brains through this process that we're giving you. Continue to positively reinforce it through showing love to yourself and through showing love to the outside world, and to choose to focus on the good. And all of our P&Ls are going to grow. Tomorrow, I'm going to come back with the last 3 laws of the universe. Friday night, we're going to have family fun Friday nights. And tomorrow, I'm going to really try to tie every single one of these laws together, how you can practically apply it to your trading life as well as to the rest of your life. And for now, I will see you guys there. Thank you very much.